Another chapter closes in the federal government's, well, in all governments' ongoing quest to clean up hip-hop, I guess you could say. Quando Rondo was sentenced today to 33 months in federal prison. He had initially been indicted, charged with a leadership role in the Macon, Georgia Rolling 60s and distributing METH, cocaine, fetty, and the reefers. So they dropped all the hard substances. They let him plead guilty to conspiracy to distribute the reefers. And I know it feels like that stuff's legal around the country. I mean, remember Rollo just got out from he did about 6 years. He got 2.5 years for that.
What up, Pop? What up?
Savannah rapper Quando Rondo is in high spirits after being sentenced to 33 months in federal prison Wednesday afternoon. A win for the rapper, who faced up to 5 years. Family and friends piled outside the courthouse to support Rondo.
Alleged rival, the guy, Little Durk, and his team is under indictment for taking out Rondo's friend, Lil Pab in LA, and Lil Tim had all his charges dropped for taking out King Von. You had this Macon versus Chicago war, and even there was some incidents in Louisiana that some people think are linked to Only the Family. So pretty amazing how right in front of our eyes we saw the transformation of, you go from gangster rap as people just talking about what they see in their neighborhood and allegations of people being studio gangsters, to now, judging by all the indictments, different governments feel like rappers are the leaders of criminal gangs, where the rap money is just one source of income and is used as an enticement to get people under their control. Just like all these, well, more than a few rappers have been, lower level rappers, indicted for pimping. And then Puffy, of course, a larger trafficking thing. So using fame, the clout of fame, to get people under your wing and then forming them into a street gazang. Now in the case of Quando Rondo, he famously dropped his flag. He was out in LA, and that's where Lil Pab got hit at the gas station, and he was seen screaming, saying no, no.
Savannah rapper Quando Rondo, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight. It all started at this mobile gas station at 5:30 Friday evening.
Even when he was on Vlad, and Vlad, said, I just interviewed Big U, that's my homie. Quando just looked and he thought about what to say, and he was like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. But he certainly didn't feel like the Crips out there gave him any protection. But why would you be looking for them to give you protection? How could they protect you? Right? I mean, I don't know if at the time he thought the 60s backdoored him. You don't need to be backdoored. It's not hard to follow somebody's movements. There's Twitters that follow the movements of Air Force One, of different billionaires' jets. In fact, some Wall Street investing is influenced and done by the tracking of CEO jets. Oh, this jet just went to this place. We think this deal is going to go on. Very easy to track people today. Don't need to be backdoored. But Rondo, I don't know how long the 60s have been down in Macon, but they're all over the place, and they've been indicted in Roosevelt, Long Island. Some years back, they gave the leaders of the Rolling 60s out there, I think a couple of them got 25, another one got life federally for running racketeering operations. And this Macon Rolling 60s seemed to be heavily involved in drug sales. There was a bunch of other people other than him indicted, and a lot of them got more serious charges. They were trying to put a managerial role on him, but he just pled guilty to the reefer and to, I think, using a telephone. So just a marijuana conspiracy. As most of you should know, or if you don't know, from about 2010 till, well, even now, because in Georgia, Texas, Louisiana, is still illegal, so there's still money to be made. Now in states like California and Michigan where it's legal, the prices have totally collapsed. So, but Rondo is probably making enough money to want to make some more money, right? Like, he was a big rapper, sort of, but he probably had his up and down months, and picking up an extra, 30,000-40,000 a month doing some reefer trafficking probably was what he needed to keep himself straight. And so he's going to pay the cost of 33 months in the federal prison. Now everyone loves to talk about what car is he going to run with. Well, it ain't going to be with the Crips. Now, are they going to be on his head? I doubt it. He didn't say anything bad, but dropping your rag is kind of weird. I mean, technically you're supposed to get jumped out of a gang, to my understanding, at least in LA. That's my understanding. Now, you can get older and just kind of phase out, right? You're 35, you're married, you got a kid, you work, you don't live in a neighborhood, you don't really come around and do nothing, so no one's mad at you. But he publicly sort of, what is it good for and all that, and interesting. So he also had an indictment like Young Thug in the state of Georgia, out of Chatham County, which is where Macon is, for just like Young Thug, a racketeering. But that was put onto something, wasn't dismissed, but it was put onto something called like docket hold, and docket hold, or dead docket, where it's not being pursued. It could be brought up at a later date, but I would imagine, especially now seeing the debacle of what went on with the YSL trial. So here you see a difference in the effectiveness of the feds in some states. That YSL thing really made the entire criminal justice system of Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, look really, really bad. You had a judge, the first guy, the black judge, who brought Woody into the bag without his own attorney and pressured him and said, you better live up to your plea bargain. Now, as soon as that happened, I knew there was going to be a mistrial, or Thug was going to have grounds for appeal. Thug is now requesting to get one of the most onerous parts of probation taken off. He was supposedly banned from metropolitan Atlanta, but he has a bunch of kids and family. Like, I would imagine he'll probably get that removed. So Quando, I don't think, had very much time in. So on 33 months, you do 85%. So 3.3, he'll lose about 5 months. So that'll be about 28 months. And then if he does RDAP, that'll bring him down to 16 months or so. Halfway house. I mean, he'll probably be at a halfway house in a year, I would guess, or so. Year and a half. So he came out pretty good. Of course, if he would have had to handle some of the conspiracy charges with the harder D-rugs, he'd be in for a lot more trouble. I hope everyone, listen, I don't promote breaking the law. I get it though, if you're from somewhere and there's somebody who doesn't have access to money, you need to build up a little capital. You need to beat the streets and make a couple bucks. But putting a gang name on it, you immediately, you could be doing the same exact stuff, and as soon as you become, we're the such and such Crips, we're the such and such Bloods, we're the GDs, we're the this, we're the name a local gang, whatever, you potentially make yourself higher up on the target list of the feds and the local prosecutors, and you subject yourself to enhanced penalties. So now, having been living in LA for quite some time, so many celebrities pass through there. The temptations, if you're in the demographic of the gangs, to want to have a friendship, make a relationship with them, it makes sense. But if you're doing criminal activity, it sets you up for other problems. It would be the Rolling 60s predate Quando Rondo in Macon, though, of course. LA, just for you not old enough, the reason there's these Bloods and Crips, especially Crips all over the country, isn't so much so like people in other places just emulating them. In the 80s through the early 90s, when LA became the COKE capital in about 83, 84 as far as importation, once there's a crackdown in South Florida. And the Crips, especially Bloods too, were showing up in medium, Minneapolis to Macon. I mean, they came to Detroit. Police in the streets ran them out of Detroit as far as having a name back then, but they were here selling weight. They were everywhere selling weight and setting up street operations. And with young people, young guys, the people with the best cars, the firepower, you got this name that's appearing in the national news, Crips, Bloods, ooh, I want to be down. But Quando Rondo's not a Rolling 60 no more now. Some people think he just said that as a strategic thing, but again, I'm not an expert on LA gang rules, but it's not a secret society. Like the Chicago is more like an organized crime where you might lie and say I'm not a member. In LA, you're supposed to let everyone know you are a member of this or that gang. I don't think there's any fake putting down your membership. So, but he'll be with the dirty South car, I would imagine, and he'll go to a camp or a low, because he's starting off with 33 months for a marijuana offense, and he should be at the halfway house in a year to 18 months. So that's what's up with Quando Rondo, sentenced to 33 months. See you soon. Al Prophet American Dope.